Hi everybody. Today I'm going to do a little bit more with paper and napkins and using it on different napkins on different things that you can use in your journal. First I'm going to start off with some baking paper, and I've done this before, but I can't tell you how much I love how it this makes those napkins almost like a fabric or something that you can use. I kind of found out by accident when I did this, when I was trying to make rice paper, and it really didn't peel off the baking paper very well, but it did make this really cool, almost, I wouldn't say vinyl because it doesn't feel like plastic, but more like this material like paper that you could use, that was very sturdy, that you could use it for different things. Anyway, so this is just some plain brown parchment paper. I bought it on Amazon. I use it all the time in my craft room, just to have around to do things on, so that things don't make a mess. So anyway, I tried to make the rice paper on this, and I would not recommend it, but I definitely would use this for what I'm going to do next. And we're going to do several different things. We're going to do it with the baking paper. We're going to do with other papers. What I find for the most part, when you have vintage antique papers, they tend to be very brittle, and you have to figure out a way that you can use them in your journals. I mean, it's great to use those old things, but sometimes when you put them in the journal, they just kind of disintegrate. So anyway, this really isn't about that. This is just about kind of making a paper that you can use in your journal. And that's basically what the whole video is about, but I just wanted to include this also. First off, what I do is I put the parchment paper shiny side up, and it will stick to it, and I have a napkin here, and I'm going to use the same napkin over and over just because I kind of want to show you how it looks on different things that we use. I always save that back piece because I love using that to make really cool textures and things like that. And I mean, when I make my rice paper, I make it and it really almost looks like glass. So you'll see that in a video. I'm not sure if you'll see it before this or after this, but anyway, so now I'm taking off the very last thing of paper, and you basically just do that with tape if you haven't seen it before. And sometimes that last one can really be stuck on there, so you have to really work to get it off and try not to rip your napkin. And this napkin is very, very flimsy once you get it apart, so it works really well for what we're doing. So anyway, so once I get it apart, I usually don't save that one because it's usually got a little bit of ink on it with different things, but I usually save that first white layer because I can use that, but you could use the other one too. So anyway, you've probably seen me do this before, but I like to make a little mixative that I make, and I make kind of a little glue gel that I use, and you can do it with white glue or you can do it with clear glue. I like to use the clear glue on this because it makes things very transparent. Not so much necessarily on the parchment paper because you'll just see the brown behind it, but on the other things that we do, I think it works really well, better than the white glue because it actually is more transparent. It doesn't, the white glue has like a cloudy finish to it, and this is it's really clear, so I like to use it. To me, it works better. I also find that this is a little less thick than the white glue, than like the Elmer's glue and stuff. So you have to use a little less water. You just kind of have to do it how you know, the consistency that you're comfortable with. But I kind of like it a little bit thinner than syrup. So I say, like, you know, warm syrup that you've warmed up. So it's kind of like that. Anyway, so I'm just going to mix this up really good. And you can use it just like that, and it would be perfectly clear. But I'm going to put, you know, a drop of vintage photo in it. So now it really looks like syrup, right? So what I'm going to do with that then is that I'm going to coat my entire piece of parchment paper a little bit larger area than where my napkin is. And if you've watched my other videos, y'all have seen me do this before, but if not, it's just basically pretty simple. You're just covering an area that you're going to glue down the napkin. And this napkin will glue really well to this parchment paper. That's why it didn't work so much working for rice paper. It did come off if you really, really worked at it and peeled it, but I found that the plastic, you know, packing paper or a tablecloth or something like that worked way better. But I do like how this turned out as far as how the napkin looks against the brown. Now, I mean, you can use white parchment paper too. I think you could use like just brown paper and it would look about the same, you know, like just brown packing paper. But the good thing about this is that you don't have to put anything underneath it. It won't seep all the way through, and it will dry onto it very tightly, and it'll look the same. So it's a little less messy, I think, in the long run. So anyway, I'm just going to go over the whole thing. And like I said, you'll see that the clear really, really makes the napkin look very translucent. So it's going to be kind of a cool look when we're done. Of course, if you wanted to, you could just take pieces of the napkin and put it on whatever, you know, we're going to be doing. You don't have to put the whole napkin on. But my thinking in this is it isn't really about the napkin, this project. What this is really about to me is it's going to be just kind of making pages for your journal with napkins, just to have something different. What's really cool about this parchment paper is when it dries, you know, because it's been wet, it'll dry kind of crunchy, and it has that nice crunchy, I don't know, that sound that we all like in our journals. So anyway, I just coat the whole thing and try and go soft so you don't rip it, and then I just leave it to dry overnight. Sometimes it doesn't even take that long. So you just find a place to put it, a nice flat place. Leave it be, don't touch it, and it'll be ready in no time. So anyway, that's all. It's just super, super easy. So now I'm going to take some music sheets, and these are antique music sheets that I have. I bought quite a few of these books, and I need to start using them up. And I do use them as pages. But I want to, you know, kind of jazz them up a little bit. I want to, you know, just make them look a little bit more interesting. Plus, if you have music papers, and I have quite a few of them like that are super brittle, and you want to use them as a page, this is a great way to kind of reinforce them and make them stronger. It's a combination of the napkin and the glue together that will make them stronger. I mean, you could actually use the glue by itself, or, you know, I use it, the clear glue with the vintage photo, as kind of an antiquing thing, but what it also does is it does make the paper stronger. But when you add the napkin to it too, it's very, very strong paper at that point. So again, I'm going to take the napkin apart. I always keep that back one, because I do make some really cool stuff with that. I love using that for making kind of a glass look. So it just turns out really, really fun. So then I'm going to take this layer off. Again, it's always a hard layer to take off. And if you rip it a little bit, I still use them. I put them on there and use them. But if you take your time, it's not a hard process. It's easy. And, you could just sit there one day and make a big batch of this glue and just do a whole bunch of these and have them ready to go. Just get out all your napkins and just, go to town and make a bunch of pages. And as I said, too, you could, take like a wet paintbrush and go around the roses and stuff and just put some of the roses on and all that. But I'm just trying to do something that is the main reason is to reinforce the pages. It's not really to, decorate them, solely to decorate them. It's to also to reinforce them and make them stronger so that they are usable if they're kind of brittle. So anyway, I just cut my napkin down a little bit because it was a little bit too big for the page, and I'm just going to cut it the other way because I want to make sure that it fits on there. It could hang over, not that big a deal, but I'm just going to get it to where it fits on there, and eventually when I put it in a journal, I will trim it to the actual size I need. But this is just kind of preliminary. And all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to coat this whole music page. It's going to antique it, plus it's going to give me like a little base to put down, for my journal. For my journal page. And it's not hard. Obviously, it's pretty redundant, but... And you can see how it kind of gives it a little vintage look. And honestly, you could do just that, and it really does reinforce your page. Makes it a lot stronger. But, a lot of times what I do on my vintage pages, when I fold them, I always make sure on the crease that I put washi tape. And if I, basically anytime I fold them, I usually put washi tape, because they will kind of crack on the crease. But what I noticed when I do this stuff and I fold them, I just don't have that issue anymore. It kind of, adds a little bit more resiliency into the fibers, and I think the glue goes into the fibers a little bit and gives it a little bit more strength. So it kind of helps you decorate your page and also be able to use pages that maybe are kind of weak and stuff like that. So, and that's another thing too. That first layer that was, the completely white, that is a great layer to use. If you have like really, really old magazine pages or newspaper article and you want to see them, you can use that as just a clear kind of, going over it. Now it'll be a little wrinkly and whatever, but I think that just adds to the charm. And you don't have to put the vintage photo in there, although it's barely tinted. But you could do that and cover whatever that picture is, because I know I've had books, even from like the 1950s, and they're just really brittle, some magazine pages or book pages, and you can use that. So now I'm taking out a piano roll, and this paper is notoriously hard to use because it rolls up, it's very thin. It really feels almost like parchment paper, but it doesn't have that shiny side to it, and it's kind of a pain to use. But you almost have to back it with something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again use the napkin and show you how that looks. And it makes it much more manageable, and it turns it into something that you're gonna actually be able to use when you get done. and you can still tell it's piano paper when you're done. So anyway, we're going to go through the same process again. So I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. Obviously, you can see it. I'm just, separating the napkins. So anyway, I have a lot of these videos, and I've been using napkins lately, and I don't know why. I'm just kind of on a kick with that. So what it is I did some things, and it ended up doing something else, and then I did something else, and it just kind of boomeranged into different things with them. And I just thought I would, while I was, kind of experimenting, I would just go ahead and let you guys see what I was doing. So if you're interested, maybe totally boring to you, I don't know. I have no idea. Sometimes I put videos out there and I think nobody's going to watch these, and then they just blow up. And other times I think they're going to be great, and then nobody watches them, and I'm like, so I am not a very good judge. Not a good judge at all. So, but that's okay. So this is a little bit harder to work with because the thing keeps wanting to roll up, but it's still doable. Again, we're going to do the same thing, and I've got my media mat underneath me, so all the glue's kind of going through there. But I'm still going to kind of cover the whole area that I'm putting the napkin on, or further. It's, it doesn't matter if you go a little farther. And honestly, the tint on this is not that dark, so I'm going to put that on. And it really does look kind of cool when you're done. And you will be able to tell, even on this side, once you put the glue on, it becomes more translucent. You can still tell it's piano roll. So that's why I thought it's kind of a cool thing to do with the piano roll. And be able to use that in a journal. And you could even, take the piano roll now after you've done this and make an envelope out of it. You could obviously make a page out of it. You could make a pocket out. There's a lot of things you could do with this. So you could make tags with it, and attach it to like a piece of cardstock or something. And I think it'd look really cool with that. You could go, there's a lot you could do with it. So I just wanted to show you that you can, and you'll be able to see that it's piano roll still after it dries, because it stays translucent. So anyway, that's it. Now, of course, on this one, I put it on a piece of plastic because it's got glue seeping through on the piano roll. So now I've got a vintage dictionary, and dictionary pages are notoriously super thin. So sometimes I use them like they are in the journal because I like that feeling of the thinness. But if you want to make a really thin paper, like a dictionary page, a little bit thicker, and use it in your journal, or just decorate it like this, again, you can try the napkin thing, and it will make a lot thicker and a lot more usable. And I also like to do this on bigger pages and do something like that, like put the whole napkin on like that. And to me, I think they make great looking little envelopes, or they make great little backgrounds, or even pockets, because this is strong enough later that you can sew on it and make a pocket out of it. And having that dictionary in the back part of it, I think looks really, really cool. So it is really strong enough to do all that when you're done. So, and the thing I like about this, is that you kind of vellum can tear real easy. This actually doesn't tear all that much after you get the glue and the napkin on. As far as being hard to work with, and it's easy to sew on, and I don't know, there's a lot of pluses to doing it with the napkin and the glue. So anyway, let's get all the different layers apart again. And when you do this, again, this is a very, very thin paper. And so, I mean, this is 2 pages of dictionary. You could, I could have cut it and then glued it to where there wasn't that white part in the middle, but I guess I'm just being lazy. And I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use this yet. I might use it as pages. I might cut it up, but I don't know. I could definitely see getting all my napkins out and just doing one page after another and having them handy, just to even cut up and then use to make things with, because they really do make really fun backgrounds. So anyway, again, that's going to go on there. And I personally, this is one of my favorite ways to do it, is to use it on the dictionary page, or even old book pages. Get a drink of water there. So again, we're just going to go over it and, try not to tear it. But look how translucent that is. You can see the pages, the wording so easily. And when you're all done, you'll see how sturdy it is. And it's like, wow, there's so many things you can do with that. So, and if you can use that clear glue like that, I mean, I bought it at the dollar store, but they sell it at Walmart, anywhere, and it's very inexpensive. It's no more expensive than the white glue is, and it does dry more translucent. Now, you may not want that. But the white is a little bit more opaque, but I mean, it's still translucent, but not as much as the clear. But I like the clear when you're doing this stuff and you want your dictionary page or you want your other, whatever you're doing to show through, So anyway, now again, because this is kind of, it's just paper, it's going to seep through. It's not like the parchment. So you're going to want to lay that on something like plastic or something that it's not going to stick to when you're done, which I have, lots of little pieces of that around. So I'm just going to put it on that and then move it to another place. And that is pretty much how I do the papers, because the only one I don't do that is on the parchment. On the parchment, it doesn't really seep through. So anyway, that is pretty much how I do it. And, there's just, the sky's the limit with the napkin thing, because, you can use it just about anything. And I also, I like to use tissue paper, and I like to use, the Tim Holtz tissue paper works well, but it's interesting because it's not super translucent, and I almost think it's kind of a waste to do it with that, because you end up not being able to see through it that well. So anyway, this is what everything looks like. This is the parchment paper, and I absolutely love how that looks. See how it looks all crinkly? And on the back part, it's not shiny. It's kind of a dull. And what's really cool about it, it has that wonderful crunchy, crinkly sound to it. So all I would do with this is just kind of cut it out. And I'm just cutting around it so you can see what it looks like. As I said, you can use it as a page. I will tell you, I'm not sure if you'll see the video before this or after. This stuff works so well to make envelopes or pockets or whatever, because the parchment paper plus the glue and the napkin make it so strong. It's almost like a material, and it's great. Plus it's super thin, but it's strong. And look how cool that looks. You could make a journal cover out of that. Oh, so it's a combination of the wrinkles and the the glue with the tint to it, and then the brown. As I said, you can certainly use white parchment paper, but I just like the look of the brown. It's actually a really, really light brown too. It's not like a dark brown. So anyway, that is just super cool. Love that. Love, love, love it. You got to try it, and you really won't appreciate it until you feel it, because it has that great crunchy sound. Okay, so this is the dictionary page, which I absolutely love. As I said, one of my very, very favorites, because you can see through it really well. And I'm just cutting the edges that I didn't get on there. And you can see on the other side, it's just dictionary page. So you still have the dictionary page on the other side. And if you want to just take this and fold it and put it in a journal as is, it is very sturdy now. It's not going to rip. Super, super great way to make those pages sturdier. You could, take it and make an envelope now. And it does have the little wrinkly look on there, which I happen to like. But you can see the wording behind it. I think it's fantastic. So, music paper. Look how amazing that looks on the music paper. And I can't tell you how much music paper I have that, I can use it for collage if it's not in great shape and it's older. But, there's only so much collage you can do. This really, really reinforces your pages if they're, a little bit crispy. Look at that, beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course, it's just music paper on the other side. So if you wanted to put it in a journal and it would look just like that, that would be fantastic. And, of course, you just got music paper in the middle. So that's a cool look, I think. And this is what I think is one of the best things. This is the piano roll. And now you have a usable piece of paper. Because I have had the hardest time using piano roll. Because, it's hard to use. It rips, it tears, it rolls. But when you put the napkin on with the glue, it is a very manageable piece of paper. But you can still see through it and still tell that it is piano roll. So to me, that is the plus, is that you can still tell that it's piano roll. You're not hiding the fact that it's a piano roll. So isn't that cool? So you could put that in as a page just like that. Isn't that fantastic? Yep. So then I did something kind of off camera. I took 4 pieces of antique book page and I just glued them together. Just, nothing really fancy. Took a glue stick. And then I just took the napkin and went through the same process and put it on the four pieces, because there's a smaller book. And these were all like 1800 antique pieces, so they're very kind of fragile. And that's what I think this is really great for, because it can really reinforce those pages. And I'm not even sure that I'm going to use it as one big piece. I may just cut it up and use it, as a background on a tag, or I may use it as a page. But I just think it looks super cool. Love, love, love it. And I just love how translucent it is. I love all the little wrinkles. Just absolutely great. So, see, you could use that in a tall journal. You'd have to cut it down a little bit more, but that would be super cool. And it's not thick. I mean, it's not thick at all. So, it's just a little stiff until you fold it the way you want it. That's just an extra piece that needs to either be cut off or glued down. Anyway, I think that's a great way to use pages. And then here I'm going to show you that I have some polka dot gold tissue paper, and I did it on some music paper. And to me, that is a fantastic look. Maybe you wouldn't want to use it on a whole page. Maybe you want to use it on a background. That to me works great. If you have some decorative tissue paper, you can use this, process just to kind of, maybe have some papers you can use as background, or you can just use it like that. I mean, I think that looks cool. Got music paper on one side. You could just put it in your journal like that. And then last, I did the same thing with the book pages, only I added some extra vintage photo just to show you that you could make it really grungy if you want to. I don't know whether this theme was probably the right theme on the napkin to make grungy, but I wanted to show you that you can really darken it up, make it super grungy, but it's still kind of translucent, so it's kind of cool. So you could do that and, have a completely different look, but you can still see the pages. So anyway, that to me is a fun way to use those pages. And you just basically you've made your own decorator paper, and it's not thick. So that's what's great. It's not going to add a lot of bulk to your journal. So to me, that's a big plus. So anyway, that is that. Super, super cool. Love the tissue paper. I think that looks cool. And all of these other ones are, I think, great ways to use your napkins. So I hope you got something out of this. And it was nice of you to come stop by and visit with me. And I will see you guys again soon. Take care.